Hello and welcome to the novice edition of prepressguide.com. In this tutorial we're going to cover what types of printers are there. The first is digital printing. Digital printing is short run printing, normally on a small sheet size. The type of printing that's specialist for this type of stuff is small quantities, anything less than 1,000 SRA3 sheets, such as business cards, flyers, rec cards, small short run multi-page documents, that sort of thing. Small cheap jobs. The next one up is sheet feed offset. This is the more traditional printing press. It will do a cheaper per cost unit, but it doesn't become cheaper until you at least print 1,000 or more sheets. That's not 1,000 or more of your product. For example, if you're printing a business card, you're probably going to get 20 up on a sheet. So it would be 20 times 1,000. So just about all business cards are going to be digitally printed. So sheet feed offset produces traditional books, large print runs, annual reports, really nice high quality work. Its brother or sister is the web feed offset print press. The difference between sheet feed offset and web feed offset is how the sheets come in. Sheet feed is obviously a single sheet is pushed into the press, it's aligned, printed, and then pushed out the other side, where a web is a continuous reel of paper. Web fed presses are really impressive to watch, and you should go down and check one out one day. Stuff that gets printed on web fed is traditionally newspapers and now some high quality, high quantity publications. The next type of printing would be screen printing. This is large format printing, so anything larger than probably an A1, an A0, it's going to be screen printing. Printing on a coffee cup, probably going to be screen printing. The benefit of screen printing is that if you can hold it still, you can print on it. Just about any substrate that you can hold down, you can screen print onto it, which is really cool. Most jobs that are largely sized are going to be screen printed. Things like A0 posters or even bigger is going to be screen printed. You can tell screen printing because if you look at it carefully and look at it quite close, the dots are going to be quite large, like quite noticeable when you look at it closely. But once you take a few steps back and look at it how you actually would as a client, it actually looks normal. The next type of printing is large format digital printing. Large format digital printing is reasonably new, as in it was created probably in the last 10 years or so, and it picks up for short runs of screen printing. So stuff like a one-off billboard where you wouldn't go and get all the screens made because you're only going to print one of them, you'd print it as a large format digital. Again, it's not as flexible as screen printing where anything you can hold down you can print, but you can print on a lot. So basically, if your job's large enough, as in dimensions, to be printed on screen, but you're not printing enough of them, so your quantity's not high enough, it's probably going to go to a large format digital printer. The next type of printing is going to be label printing. Label printing is a specialist process on a specialist press. So if you're getting food labels done, wine labels done, anything like that, approach a label printer. You can produce some really cool effects that would be completely uneconomical to print anywhere else than a specialist label printer. And a label printer is only going to be able to print a label. They're not going to be able to print a letterhead. They're not going to be able to print an annual report or a business card. They just do labels. The next type of printing is flexographic or flexo printing, which uses a flexible plate to put the image onto the substrate. Normally this type of printing is used for flexible foils or flexible plastics, so things like chocolate bars or chip packets or crisp packets will be printed with flexo printing. You're not going to really come and use it unless you're in the food packaging industry mainly. So for starting out graphic designers, it's probably unlikely that you're going to be doing a lot of flexo work. And if you do become flexo, if you do start doing more flexo work, you should probably get some professional assistance on how to set your files up, because it is quite different. The last kind of printing is gravure, and as a starting out graphic designer, you'll never come across gravure printing. In fact, I've never come across gravure printing. Gravure printing, instead of using a printing plate or a blanket to put ink on a substrate, uses an engraved cylinder. Engraving a cylinder is very expensive, but its benefit is it lasts a really long time. So stuff that will never change, like wallpaper for example, can be printed on gravure because their cylinder will cost thousands of dollars to create, but they can run that for as long as they want. So now that you know what kind of printer specialises in which kind of job, and for starting out graphic designers, you're probably going to either want to approach digital printers or offset printers because they're the traditional printers that you're going to be producing work for. Often, they'll have both. Like an offset printer will have a digital printing press in their factory because don't want to have to turn away that short run work. Sometimes the smaller places will just have digital printing. So if you go to them with an offset job or a job that's going to be offset, they'll probably say yes, they can do it, but then they'll outsource it. So they'll go to a local printer, get a quote, add 15 to 20% markup on that quote, and then pass it on to you. Now, you as the graphic designer should always add a markup as well before passing it on to the client. So once you put your 15 to 20% on top of their 15 to 20%, the job's going to start to get a bit expensive for the client, and the client could get annoyed at that. So as the graphic designer, you should probably just approach the offset company to start with if your job is large enough to be offset required. So now that you know which type of printer you should use for what type of job, it's pretty easy to find them. Just Google them. Look in phone books, or best yet, ask for recommendations, because as most people that surf the internet will realise, it's pretty easy to get a really beautiful website that makes your business look really professional. But if you're not a good team, you don't have good equipment, you're not going to get great results. And customers remember great results. So talk to other customers that you have used printing and ask them which companies they use or which companies they avoid. I hope that answers all your questions about what type of printer should I approach for my job. This is Ben from PrePressGuide.com, and if you'd like to learn more about PrePress, please check out the agency or freelancer edition online.